And I definitely not an expert in migraines, but that's the next question. And I think for many people, for a lot of women, it's hormonal. It comes at the time of the month when they menstruate, and it gets better as they go through menopause. Even in men, I've seen it get better as they get older. It's interesting. But for a lot of people, I think migraines are associated to food sensitivities. And for many people, it's things like aged cheese and red wine and things like that. Some people, it's chocolate. My husband has a strong history of migraines in his family. And he discovered the source of his migraine when I was over in the Marshall Islands for 8 months, and he was there with me. He came home about 3 months before I did. And during that entire time, he didn't buy oranges or lemons or limes. And then I got home, and the first thing I did was buy a bag of oranges, and he ate 2. And he got a terrible migraine. He knew it was either me or the migraine, or the oranges, I should say. So we were hoping it was the oranges, and it was, thankfully. But so for some people, it's things that you might not even suspect. And so I think working with someone who could help you with an elimination diet or something like that makes good sense, because migraines are not very pleasant, and there definitely is a familial component. His father had brutal migraines. His sister has terrible migraines. So, and I've never had a migraine in my life. So you may want to add to that, Milton.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not a neurologist, so again, I'm not an expert on migraines. But as Brenda was pointing out, there are a number of different triggers for migraines, and it just depends on the individual. But what I did want to throw out was I have read an article recently, and unfortunately I don't, again, not being like my friend here, I don't have all of the details stuck in my mind because I didn't pay very close attention to it, but the gist of it was that ions like potassium and magnesium can help stabilize cell membranes and forestall migraines. And so, and those are, again, nutrients that are found in very high levels in plant foods, and there was a suggestion that being plant-based could help decrease the severity and frequency of migraines for that reason. But of course, that would only work with people whose migraines were triggered by deficiencies in those things.
Neil Barnard has a wonderful book called Foods That Fight Pain. And he has a great section in that on migraines and goes through many of the foods that are problematic for various people. So I would recommend that as well.
Okay, so Neil Barnard. Okay, so we're down to the last 4 minutes of a 10-day conference. People are, they had a good experience, they're positive, they are motivated. Now, tomorrow, they drive over to their supermarket, they get a shopping cart, they walk in. What exactly should they buy if they would, for the next week, want to live the way you live? Go take them through the aisles, tell them exactly what to buy tomorrow so that they could live and eat and feed your family. What would they need to do? Go walk through the aisles with them specifically.
Feel free to take that one.
Gosh, I'm at work all the time, so I'm not the best person. But let's say I had a fairy god person who gave me like $1 gazillion, and all I did was shop. I would go through the bean aisle, and I would get several different varieties of beans because, one, I love beans. Two, I think they're incredibly healthy. Get a couple of varieties of whole grain rice. I love wild rice, and as well as brown rice, specifically basmati brown rice because it has really extra long grains. Would load up on the salad aisle. I admit I tend to use the salad mixes. I like the spring mix because it has radicchio, dark green lettuces, and dandelion greens, some tomatoes, other vegetables. Give me some hummus and some rice crackers for a quick time snack. And maybe a couple of Guardian products. Well, actually, I really prefer field roast sausages because they're really made from ground up plants. And chop them up, and you can put them in a stew or some of the other vegetables. And then some fruit. Get my berries, make my fruit smoothies, and some oranges and stuff to snack on.
And I guess I'm trying to think of how to go about this, but I'll kind of explain the way that my diet looks and then what I would need to get. So I generally purchase grains in bulk. So I would buy 10 pounds at the time. And I would buy, I'm not gluten sensitive, so I love kamut berries, spelt berries. I love black barley, which is a barley with a little pigment in it, purplish black. We eat lots of quinoa, a little bit of wild rice. But one of the things that I always do is I always have a bowl of grains in the fridge. And I always have, sometimes of cooked grains, and I always have a jar on the counter of sprouted grains, like the barley, the black barley sprouts beautifully, the kamut berries sprout beautifully, and then the beans. And so one of the things I do for breakfast bowl is if I cook grains, I'll cook lentils right in with the grains to boost the protein, iron, zinc, all of that. And but I always have a bowl of beans in the fridge as well, which makes for instant meals. So for breakfast, my breakfast looks like this. It's so I might have, I just had Dr. Michael Clapper at my house for 3 days. And so what we did for breakfast was, the first thing I did was I just braised in water some Brussels sprouts and broccoli and some dark greens like kale. And then we squeezed lemon on and a little balsamic vinegar and some herbs. And that was our first course for breakfast. And we had a good sized plate each. And then the second course is a breakfast bowl. And this is my absolute favorite thing for breakfast. So a breakfast bowl, I always start with a whole grain and a sprouted grain. So I might have some kamut berries and some sprouted barley, and then it's got the lentils in there as well. And then I have a lot of fruit. So I'll have maybe, depending on the season, if it's winter, it'll be cut up apples and bananas, but lots of berries. And I freeze about maybe 200 pounds at least of fruit. I do, and I dehydrate some as well. But so I'll have blueberries. Often, if it's winter, they're from the frozen state. But I'll always have berries in the mix. And then I like creamy. So my creamy will either be cashew pear cream, and I do can my own pears. So I can about 30 or 40 jars of pears just in water. And then, so pear cream or chia pudding, which is just unsweetened milk.
I'm just saying, if you really are a cyborg.
and so chia pudding or a homemade unsweetened yogurt, something creamy. And then on top of that, I do a seed mix, which I keep in the freezer. It's chia seeds, ground flax seeds, hemp seeds, pumpkin seeds, and chopped up Brazil nuts for the selenium. So you don't have to take 4 jars out. I take 2. I take the seed mix and the walnuts. And that'll go on. And then I love a little crunchy as well. So I make a dehydrated granola, and then some sort of unsweetened milk on top. And it is just yummy. So that's breakfast. And but it's not that hard, because the thing is you've always got the prepared stuff in the fridge. It's just a quick assembly in the morning. Honestly, I have all my jars, my pear cream or my chia pudding or whatever's on the top, and the fruit, and so it's not really a big process. Michael Clapper thoroughly enjoyed our breakfast. And then my lunch is always a giant salad. So, and I always keep a bowl. It's about this big with a lid, a glass bowl full of salad in the fridge. So I make it ahead, and it lasts about 3 days. So I don't put stuff that will go bitter or whatever that can get added at the end. So I have a big salad, and I try to cover all the colors of the rainbow. So I try to get something orange and something red and something purple in that bowl, and then that goes onto my plate, some sprouts on top, and then I always include something that'll fill me up, some quinoa or some steamed butternut squash or something like that, and then the beans or some sort of baked little tofu cubes or tempeh cubes, and then I make, and I always keep in the fridge a homemade dressing that's nut or seed based, because I want some fat to help to absorb all of those wonderful nutrients. So it might be a lemon tahini dressing, or it might be a hemp seed dressing, or a cashew whatever dressing. So cashew roasted red pepper is another one I like. So some sort of dressing, and that dressing can also be used for my favorite dinner, which is just a dinner bowl. And so you have your grains, you have all your steamed veggies, then you have your whatever beans or tofu or whatever you're having like that on top, then a few sprouts, and then your sauce. And so that's a very typical of my diet. Our dessert is often, my husband and I like just to have some fruit and maybe a couple of nuts we would crack open, or some nut butter with that. I do treats once in a while, so it'll be something like, I even do at Christmas time and Easter, I make these little Easter eggs, or the turtles, you know, those caramel turtles? They're so good, and all it is really is the caramel is made from either cashew butter and dates or pine nuts and dates, a little vanilla, and that caramel looks like caramel and it tastes amazing. It's not sickeningly sweet like caramel, and so you know, you've got your nuts, you've got your little bit of caramel, freeze it solid, and then you just brush it with a really good quality dark chocolate. And so for the special occasions, you can do a treat like that. And that's how I do it. I try, when I was in Kelowna, we had organic produce delivered to our doorstep. I haven't found quite the same in Calgary, but you can try to procure as much organic as you can. And I drink water. That's what I drink. And tea, herbal teas. Yeah.
So it's now clear that the secret to vegan health is to clone this woman.
And if you're ever in Calgary, you can come over and try it for yourself.
I was going to say, 'cause I'm jealous that Michael was there.
Oh, Michael Greger's my next guest, so he'll get the treat.
Okay, then I'm expecting an invitation at some point.
Okay, I'm going to...
Yeah.
Okay, I want to make a couple of quick announcements. First, just in general, if anyone has any questions, any issues, you can go to the Real Truth About Health conference or therealtruthabouthealth.com and go to contact, and you can email us, and we're available to communicate. Okay, next. Michael is going to come up on stage, just tell you about our highlight package. Before we go, we hope that everyone who valued this, whether you're online or in person, will get it. If you happen to be in person, you're going to get a $75 gift certificate to use in our store. Third, regarding the replays of this, number one, right this second, the last 9 days are on YouTube. So right this second, if you go to YouTube, the last 9 days are on, and tomorrow this will be on. It does cut off the last half hour. You can only do 12 hours on YouTube. It's an uncut version. We'll leave it up for about another week. You can look at it, or you can wait. If you go to our website, you sign up for the conference, you'll be signed up for our email list. And then in sometime in about April, May, we'll start releasing every full video, one a day, for about 80 days, and then we'll go 2 a day with the shorter versions. If you want a simpler way to do it, and you want the highlights and the transcriptions and the main points and a 10-minute version of everything, then please get our highlight package. It'll be quite a lot easier and you'll enjoy it more, but it is available the way I'm saying. And then finally, I would just say that there was a lot of intense things discussed during the 10 days. I don't know if you all heard it, so I hope you'll all play a very big part in trying to make the biggest difference you can in whatever way you can. We're very concerned about the planet. We're concerned about 5G wireless. We're concerned about GMOs. We're concerned about factory farms. We're concerned about pesticides. And I hope everyone is going to do whatever they can to make a difference. We have an extra large portion of vegan ice cream and vegan cookies. I want to thank them and then just give Michael a minute to make an announcement. So thank you to Brenda and Dr. Mills.